In step 12 of this course on human intelligence and self-awareness, we go on helping you to become more aware and then understand, and how you can use critical analytical thinking to develop new thought paths within your mind, which will make you a faster learner and help you control and optimize your behavior and interaction with other people. Good luck again.
Now, concepts is a combination. You certainly can show people broad concepts, and I'm going to show you a few pretty soon. But also, here's a great thing about people, is they pick up concepts. So if you perhaps heard of TED Talks, which are chalk and talk type lectures, far more professionally organized than this, or things on YouTube, they present for 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And what they're doing is sharing concepts. And you just listen and you pick out from what they say and what they show you. And you pick out concepts that fit with what you want to know and don't know. So they fill in the gaps. Now, the whole point of the learning that we're doing together, and my attempt to teach you soft skills, is I'm not trying to make you start all over from, rubbishing anything you know already. I am trying to optimize what you know already and then add to it. Now, I spell optimize with an S. Some people spell it with a Z or a Z. So concepts, I would say you absorb again. If you're an active learner, can absorb concepts. If you're not an active learner, this won't exist for you, not very much. And you'll just struggle along with the concepts that you picked up from your teachers. And then finally, how do I do it all? What relationship am I trying to get with you? I'm trying to make it, of course you can't talk to me, I wish you could. Mind you, if you got vegetables and old fish or something, you'd perhaps be throwing it to me, but you can always switch off, that's your other option. So I'm trying to make it more a dialogue style, interactive as I can make it, in this one-way, one-to-many type of presentation. I'm trying to control the mood and keep it sort of serious, but not too awful. And the relationship. I do talk about myself. I do talk about what I'm hoping for you. And what I'm trying to do is get a relationship between you and I that's at an adult level. So I'm regarding you as an adult. Hopefully you're regarding me as an adult. I'm not a parent. I'm not so much a child. That's tough with someone like me. And so the transactions that we're having are in that space. Now I'm going to pause for a moment. What I'll do is slice the tape up a little bit at that point. I'm going to scrub all of this stuff. I want to actually start doing some of this stuff. So again, there'll be a bit of a pause on the tape. But I am going to leave purpose, filling in gaps, and optimize. Okay, so let's talk about something about soft skills. Now, I've been reading a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and they encourage people to become self-aware and find their purpose. So I could leave you like that. I could say, well, what I think you really need to do is become self-aware, which is being introspective. Go and look at YouTube and see what you can work out. Or I could say, you really need to find a purpose. And once you have your purpose, you can use your time in the right way and so on. But mostly, all this stuff, they leave you there. So how do you become self-aware? How do you find your purpose? Now, in order to do that, what I do is I develop models, simple models. So let's just talk about what's happening now as I talk to you. A very simple model is a model like that. And what we can start with is, as I talk to you, hopefully it's somewhere on the line between being interesting or right off here, that would be nah. That's where you don't, it's not interesting, you don't really care. And here, useful. So some things you watch and they're either just entertaining, some stuff down here, it may be just nah, it's a waste of time, or it may be entertaining, but not particularly useful or interesting. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe this stuff could be useful. I might be able to use this. And then the other, some people call this a dialectic, a line between one and the other. And then this is another dialectic. I don't know how accurate it is in Greek terminology, but I think of it as what's called an opposed dialectic. I first came across this when I was reading Jungian. There's a guy called Jung, Y-U-N-G, and he was a psychologist. He was initially a colleague and pupil of Freud, and then Freud had all sorts of ideas that Jung didn't really agree with that much, and he developed some theories which were based around Jungian psychology. Why not? If Alexander the Great can call a city Alexandria and Augustus can call a month August, why not Jungian psychology? Now, people continually take these ideas and they rebrand them and they put their own name on it and say, look, and especially if they're academics, they write a book because they're obliged to write books every now and then try and persuade people to what's called refer to them or cite citations. So you see this reappearing all the time. One of the best known versions of it is called Myers-Briggs. And that's to do with personality types. I think it's EMTF or something. I don't really bother with them. Once you've gone past the Jungian and the post-dialectics, I tend to like to develop my own models anyway. So, as I talk to you, is it interesting? Is it useful? And the other dialectic is to do with time. And is it now? Or is it one day? This is like in the future, and this is in the present. So here we are. You're listening to me, hopefully. I'm talking to you. And the information I'm trying to give you should fall into one of these categories. You think it might be interesting one day, but quite a long way away. Let's say when you're doing chemistry or physics, or learning certain types of, calculus at school. It's not going to be useful to you instantly, is it? You're not going to walk out of the door and suddenly start doing calculus. Let's say you are learning maths and calculus. It may or may not be interesting to you. If you're keen on maths, it'll be quite high up here. It won't cross over into the useful space until quite a long time in your future. So if you're sitting there as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, calculus may not become much use to you ever, or it may not become much use to you for another 5 years. So you could kind of plot a point. But you're spending your time, you're listening to this maths teacher, and they're talking to you about stuff that's kind of a bit interesting, unless you really like maths, in which case it comes to here on this line. And if you're trying to get a place in a university and you think you may need to know it more, it may be coming up to being closer to when you go for that interview, it may be moving more into the present. Now, what I'm talking to you about is soft skills. I'm very much hoping that you're enjoying them. I'm going to put them in a different color. I'm even going to use my red, which you probably realize I use for like important stuff. So it's soft skills, And I want it to be here. I want to tell you things that you can start using straight away. This model can be useful. You can think about something that someone tells you or tries to teach you an hour from now, and you can say, well, is it interesting? Is it useful? Is it useful in the future? Or is it useful now? Can I use it straight away? Let's say I'm talking to you about soft skills, conversation skills, or how to ask questions, or how to do active listening. Those are all things that you're going to walk out of the door and you will be talking to people. You will be asking questions, or they'll be asking you questions. You will be having a conversation within minutes of now. And if I can raise your self-awareness and your consciousness about those conversations, then you will immediately be in that particular present using a useful skill, because you will think about that conversation in a totally different way, in a constructive way, and you will be able to grow from that point to have better and more useful conversations. And those should be relative to your purpose. Okay, so that's a model. I haven't got a name for it. It's just, I have literally hundreds of these blooming models in my mind, and I'm going to start sharing them with you, okay? Because they're going to help you learn soft skills. I'm definitely going to pause it now and take a breath. Cheers.
Start using critical analytical thinking. So when you look at a newspaper article or watch a TV program, start to analyze what you're seeing and hearing in terms of facts and opinions and that sort of thing. And consider the mental tools which we're trying to share with you here, how you break things into categories. You can choose what categories you want to use, or you can just follow what we've provided for you. And the models of things like, what do you like? Are you watching it because you're interested? You want to be entertained? Is it informative? Is it something you want to learn? Are you learning it because you need to know it now or soon or one day? And that kind of thing. So start to live a conscious life. When you have conversations, start to be conscious of what you're saying and how the other people are reacting to what you're saying. And if you do that, you will become increasingly self-aware of yourself and your inner thoughts, and also the impact you are having with other people, whether it's one other person or a group, or indeed your involvement in society as a whole. Try to make it as meaningful and as conscious as is practical.
Whilst also, of course, enjoying your life. You learn by experimenting and practice. So get out that life book you're working on and make some notes on mental tools, concepts you're finding interesting, and anything that uses critical analytical thinking, because that's how you're going to grow your self-awareness, increase your understanding, and develop your capability. In due course, you will become expert and empowered.